Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in for today's episode of Detail Garage. Last time you saw this Mercedes, we had it in the shop because the owner parked it next to the curb where the landscaper's got a little bit of yard trimmings on there, some grass all over the side of the vehicle, and since it was wet, it really stuck to the surface, and now it's actually started to stain it. So today we're going over the wash process, and as we had mentioned in our previous video, we're breaking down the washing process step by step, and obviously we started with the dirtiest area being the wheels. You saw us clean them up very nicely using some sticky citrus wheel gel with a combination of decon, and that removed any kind of brake dust or road grime, and it also revived that lustrous finish. But today we're going to move on to the body of the vehicle, and we have our 2-bucket method set up here, which is pretty much common practice now, and the reason for that is because we want 1 bucket for washing, which is going to carry our soap, and then a 2nd bucket for rinsing off our wash mitt. Now both buckets are going to have a dirt trap in there. We'll place them in at an angle and press them all the way to the bottom so they create an airtight seal. And the purpose for these tools is to help basically clean off the dirt from the noodles of our wash mitt. This forces the dirt underneath the cones and it keeps it from returning back to the vehicle, and it also keeps it out of your fresh water. So now we're also going to be using some citrus washing gloss, which is a concentrated soap. You see you have your concentrate as well as the shampoo up on the top. Mix it all together. And the reason I've chosen this is because this is going to, one, create a lot of foam, which helps to lubricate the surface, but also it's a powerful cleaner, so it helps remove any kind of staining without having to really scrub in there, because that will increase the chances of scratching your vehicle. And while we're at it, we'll set up our foam cannon, add a couple ounces as well. And we'll attach the top of the foam cannon. A lot of guys ask us what's the best way to get a lot of foam, and my recommendation is to use 2 or 3 ounces of soap, but also to use warm water in your canister. This helps to improve the foaming action. But also, when you're ready to mix up the solution, don't shake up the bottle, but instead stir it all together. You can give it a little bit of this back and forth, but when you shake it up, you're creating foam inside of the canister, which is reducing the foaming action as it actually aerates and sprays out. So just mix the whole solution together, and then you're going to have the best foaming possibility, the best foaming experience. See, it's nice and yellow. Now we've also got our bucket set up here. Now we're going to move on to actually foaming up the vehicle. Now normally what we'll do is we'll rinse down the vehicle to knock down the loose stuff and then come back and foam it, but for today we're actually going to foam it first and then let that dwell, and then we're going to rinse it off and then foam it again and then come back with our wash mitt. So let's get started. So now after foaming up this Mercedes twice, we've helped to loosen up the abrasive particles and also those stubborn areas that they were sitting on top of the surface. A lot of the grass and whatever kind of other lawn trimmings have been easily removed, but there's still a lot of areas where it's stuck on the surface. So that's where we're going to come back with our wash mitt. And it's going to help us just gently wipe away anything that's left on the surface. But just like any traditional car wash, we're going to start at the top and work our way down using linear motions. This way we're not dragging dirt to areas we've already cleaned. But also by working in straight lines, we're going to reduce the chances of creating a swirl, which is very noticeable. Straight line scratches are a lot easier to repair. So now go to the car and start at the top. And as we work, we're going to roll the wash mitt or roll your sponge. This way we're not dragging the grass or the abrasive particles across the surface. We're going to ensure that we use as much of the wash mitt as possible, using all the faces and edges of it. This will prevent the chances of bringing the dirt. You can just see there's a light layer of dirt that's on there. But this will prevent it from coming back to the car, so we're going to push it against that dirt trap. And as you scrub, it's going to force any kind of abrasive particles, any kind of grime, anything that's basically on your wash mitt or sponge underneath the cones, and this keeps it out of your fresh water. Now wring it out outside of the bucket. Grab some more soap and continue the wash process. But as you can see, it's important to get this kind of stuff off of the paint as soon as possible, because one, it looks bad, but two, the longer it's left on there, the harder it is to remove. So if you can wash your car or use a quick detail spray or something right off the bat to get any kind of debris off the surface, it's going to help it from having a bigger issue down the road. But basically the reason why you want to use something that foams up, such as citrus wash and gloss, is because you see here that you have to do multiple passes over it, and you don't want to be applying a lot of pressure because that could create a swirl or it could drag the abrasive particle, creating a scratch. You can see all that on the wash mitt, which is why we didn't use a waterless wash or simply wipe it down. That's why we're taking the precaution to foam it twice and also going over the safety way, or the safe way to wash your vehicle. Now, as the last step of our wash process, we're going to dry the vehicle. Now, obviously that's to remove any kind of water that's on the surface, but that's also going to prevent any kind of water spots. And it's also a great time to check your work to make sure that you've gotten off anything that was on the surface, such as the case with this Mercedes-Benz where you had a lot of grass stain in the vehicle. But to do that, we're going to be using our gray waffle weave towel. And this just traps a lot of water and helps to clean it up and dry it off without leaving any kind of streaks behind. And it's perfect for a car such as this size where we don't need a lot of towels or to be wringing it out because it is a very small vehicle. And just like when we were washing, we'll start at the highest point. And you can either use the pat method, which consists of laying it on the surface and letting the towel basically dry up anything that was on there. Or you can also use the traditional fold the towel up and then wipe anything away in linear motions, just to ensure that you've gotten everything that was on the surface so you don't have any kind of water spots. So I'm going to finish up the rest of this, but in the meantime, you guys can check out these products on our website, chemicalguys.com, or at your local detail garage. If you like today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and drop your comments down below for future videos, and we'll see you guys next time.